Welcome back to Good Morning Arklamiss. Our time is 6:35 and we are very excited this morning to welcome Karen Knotts to our show. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Larry.
Thank you for getting up early and coming to see us.
It's a pleasure.
Karen is an actor and comedian. I think they call them actors nowadays, even the females, right?
Whatever they call me, I'll just go with that.
Okay. And she's also has a very famous father. Don Knotts, of course, is her father. He died 2006, I believe.
That's
you
right.
said? Okay, so it was a big loss, and I know everyone remembers Don from his role as Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show, and you actually visited the set back in the day, right?
That's right. I have some memories of going there with my father as about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and seeing, it was so astonishing to actually see the set and the people in real life was amazing.
I bet it was. Now, the pretty young lady that we showed, Don was singing to her. That was you.
Oh, well, thank you. That was me when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And my father had his own variety show.
You know, I don't remember that, but I'm not surprised.
Most people don't. It was only on for, I think it was on for 2 seasons. But he was actually the host of his own show.
Okay.
It was interesting.
How do you remember him as a father?
He was the most wonderful father because he didn't make a big deal about being a father. He was just there for you.
Okay.
And he had a lot of his own problems. So I listened to him as much as he listened to me, and we just were very close.
Okay. Was he like his character at home?
No, he really wasn't like the character, but he had internally, he had those elements to him, and he was, of course, a very, he had the same qualities of, you know, caring and being a good person, but as a person, he was more close to the vest. He was more, you know, quiet, and he had this dry wit. He was a very witty man, and very sophisticated, and he had more of a, you know, worldly lifestyle because he was a star.
And he was an all-around entertainer too, but besides being, I think he may have been typecast into, since he was such a success, as Barney. And this is what happens with a lot of character actors. They get typecast.
That's true, but he never minded that.
He didn't mind that?
Oh no, because that was his bread and butter. I mean, you know, he played that character, and you know, he went on to Three's Company, playing, you know, Mr. Furley, and then he had those movies with Universal Studios. And then one thing that did surprise him, I remember him saying, was that in the movies, the Disney films with Tim Conway, he was actually playing straight man to Tim Conway, because Tim Conway's character was dumber than his. So, but yet he was still hilariously funny.
Right. So you didn't have the family dinners and Don sitting around cracking jokes, or?
Well, we did in a way, because when I was young, when I was a kid, you know, my mother was very, very strict about having the family dinner, which I look back on now and I think that was just a wonderful thing. Then when I got to be a teenager, I lived with my father, and he was a single man at that point. So we had the two of us at dinner and a housekeeper who would bring the dinners in, who, I'll never forget this, my father could not stand her cooking, but he never said so. He would just smile and eat it and say, "Thanks, Barbara, you know, that's real nice." And then there was my stepmother, and my stepmother never ate the same things that we ate because she was always on a diet, so she had her own meal, and we ate the other thing.
One thing that comes to my mind is, did he ever lecture you and use some of the phrases that he used maybe on the Andy Griffith Show, like nip it in the bud?
Right. Karen, you got to stop wearing those shiny pants. Nip it. No, nothing like that. No.
I don't know, that just came to my mind. But I'm a big fan, and I know that a lot of people are, of Don Knotts.
Oh, yes.
His character, and particularly as Barney, and the rest of his work in television and in movies.
You know, I will tell you one thing, that when people ask, you know, how did you develop the character of Barney Fife, or, you know, what made Barney Fife tick? His answer was always this, that Barney Fife was a child inside, and like a child, he showed his emotions on his sleeve, and he was just immediate in the moment.
We're going to talk more with Karen, particularly about her career. She's a comedian and an actor, and we're also going to give away 4 tickets to the performance Friday the 8th at the West Monroe Convention Center, 325-9008. Call us. They're yours. First call. We'll be right back. Actress and comedian Karen Knotts. Karen joining us in studio this morning, and we've been reminiscing about your famous father, Don Knotts, in the last segment. We're going to segue into getting into your life and career this morning, if that's okay for you.
Sure.
I can see that bubbly personality in your act, and even talking with you this morning.
Thank you.
I can see that. Let's talk about when your father was just starting out in television. He lived in New York, correct?
Yes, my father, well, we actually lived in Dumont, New Jersey, because the very first television station, one of the earliest ones, was in Dumont, and that's where Jackie Gleason did his show.
Oh, okay.
So we lived in a town there, and at that time, all the television shows were made in New York, and so he was working there, and he got on the Steve Allen Tonight Show and did, you know, sketch comedy. That was huge. It was like Saturday Night Live, except it was really live television. So I do talk about that in my show, about what it was like for him breaking into show business, which was very different back then. And then the Steve Allen Show moved out to Los Angeles, like all those shows did, and then we were living in Los Angeles, and it was a completely different environment, and how we all changed. I talk about all that in my show, Tied Up in Knots.
Now, you grew up with a showbiz father, and you got to visit the set of the Andy Griffith Show, and we also saw that clip of Don singing to you when you were 16. Did you always aspire to get into show business?
I did, and well, I got the bug because of watching him. He was so great. I mean, imagine having a dad like that who was so incredibly talented, and you know, and I used to cue him on his lines for the Andy Griffith Show, and you know, but I wanted to be an actress, but the only female character who was on every week was Aunt Bee. So I used to practice talking like her. So, Andy, Barney, there's a big basket of fried chicken. So
That's good.
I would, you know, put on the hat and the gloves and everything. So, but when I cued him on his lines, he would say, "Don't do that. Just give it to me straight." But I was frustrated. I wanted to do that, you know. So, and then when I got on the set of the Andy Griffith Show, Aunt Bee was not like the character at all.
Oh, really?
Really not at all. So I talk about that and a lot of the other experiences on the set there.
And your show is called Tied Up in Knots, and it involves, of course, we saw the clips singing. What else is
I do
involved?
a little bit of singing, not just one song. But my father got started in the business as a ventriloquist. A lot of people don't know about that.
I did not know that.
In the Army. And so I've always kind of done a little bit of, and he also learned, his mother ran a boarding house. They just had to make ends meet. And one of their boarders was a magician. And this man taught him some sleight of hand, some magic. And so all his life he would do those. He never did anything professionally as a magician, but he loved doing that, and so he would continue doing that.
Karen, I could talk to you all morning and talk about your show that's coming up. It's Friday, 6:30 at the West Monroe Convention Center, sponsored by the Ouachita Parish Public Library, and you'll also be doing shows, I understand, in Ruston and Arcadia.
That's right.
And in the next few days, and you can call those libraries for more information. Karen Knotts, daughter of legendary comedian Don Knotts, and her show is called Tied Up in Knots.
Tied Up in Knots.
And oh, by the way, we had a winner for our packet of tickets, Becky Morrison from Swartz. Congratulations to you, and I know you're going to enjoy Karen's show. Thank you, Karen, so much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed talking with you.
Me too.
And we have an update on your weather from Amanda next.